Jobs.
It's all about respect. Security.
The American dream.
Good jobs in tough times.
A chance to move up and do better.
Excellent health care.
Beautiful benefits.
What they used to call the American way.
It still works here.
Not a single layoff of a U.S. manufacturing worker.
Not one.
Not one.
Doing things the right way.
Quality.
Building cars that Americans want.
Right here in America.
Hyundai is an all-American success story.
This Fox 5 program brought to you by Safeway. Ingredients for life. Getting your flu shot is easy at the Safeway pharmacy. No appointment necessary. Get your flu shot at Safeway today.
Beautiful thing.
Oh, yes. Where are we going today?
Into the bank?
Oh, ATM's that way.
But we have questions.
That's what the website's for.
But we want to talk to our banker.
Oh, no matter how many times I hear that, it still cracks me up.
Need a bank that lets you choose the way you bank? Then you should bank with SunTrust, where you're always welcome. In person, online, or on the go.
Is there a problem?
There's a bouncer at our bank.
Thanks for visiting.
SunTrust. Live solid, bank solid.
Just announced, the Ford Labor Day sales event has been extended. Now through September 12th, get huge savings on our great lineup of Ford favorites. Get 0% financing for 60 months, plus up to $2,500 cash back and make no payments for 90 days on Fusion, Escape, Taurus, Flex, Expedition, F-150, Super Duty, and Ranger. Get both 0% financing for 60 months, plus up to $2,500 cash back. Hurry, the Ford Labor Day sales event ends September 12th.
Here comes the sun on September 18th at FedEx Field. NRG presents the Solar Bowl, a football game in the largest solar-powered installation in the D.C. area. It's Washington versus Arizona. For a chance to win tickets, visit the NRG Facebook page.
When it pours, they rain. The Fox 5 weather team.
The World Series. The UFC Heavyweight Championship. The Pac-12 Championship. The Big Ten Championship, the NFC Playoffs, the Daytona 500, and the UEFA Champions League Final. The world's biggest events are on Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports!
What is a hero?
A hero is someone brave enough.
Brave enough to perform acts others dare not do.
Someone who brings courage to others.
In the midst of great danger.
Heroes stand together, united as one.
Refusing to let adversity break their will.
Nobody asks to be a hero.
Courage is not received.
It is demonstrated through fearless deeds performed for others.
During our nation's darkest hour,
We started to heal with the help of our national pastimes. With the flip of the coin and the roar of the crowd,
we began to recover.
We watched then as we watch today.
Because football is ingrained in the heart of this country.
It shows that liberty could never be taken from us.
and we always have the hope of a better tomorrow.
Today, we move forward as a new NFL journey begins.
But we will always honor those
who are forever embedded in our hearts.
We will never forget our heroes.
It promises to be an emotional and patriotic day here on Fox. On this 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, the league will pay tribute with what is being called the NFL's September 11th Remembrance. And we will bring it to you live right here on Fox. Then it's time for some football. Expectations are sky high this season for Michael Vick, and today he and the Eagles take on the Rams. Philly has a new and improved superstar lineup, but will that translate into a Super Bowl title? In Chicago, the NFC's #1 seed from a year ago, Matt Ryan and the Falcons, face a Bears team that made it all the way to the NFC Championship game last season. It's all part of a fantastic schedule of games for you today on Fox. And of course, it begins with the one and only Ford Fox NFL Sunday pregame show. And as we welcome you into the studio for our 18th season, we're happy to have Ford back as our title sponsor for the 8th year in a row. So come on in and stay a while, folks. I'm Kurt Menefee, and a huge Texas-sized thank you to the 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush, and all the 9/11 first responders for participating in that powerful and, yes, classy opening to our show. Speaking of powerful and classy, here they are, ladies and gentlemen. Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Michael Strahan, and Jimmy Johnson. Welcome back, boys.
Good to be back.
Kurt.
How you doing, man?
All right,
Good to
how
see
are
you
you?
guys. How are we? Let me tell you, one of the great things about our show being out here in Los Angeles is we get to meet some great stars occasionally. The other day, we all ran into Bruce Willis, and he is a huge Eagles fan, and we promised him today.
Which is hard to understand. He's a Jersey boy, but he's exit 1 off the Parkway, which is Cherry Hill, which is right next to Philly. So
but he did say he loved the Cowboys when I was there.
And you know, you was talking about every weekend you get to hang out with Big Star. You get to hang out with me every Sunday.
That's
Well, there you go.
Die Hard 5
You got to
coming
start
soon.
the year out right.
I was going to say, it didn't take long for it to get back to him, did it? And of course, hey, Bruce Willis and all of us are glad to see the season start on time after the lockout. Good job goes to the NFL Players Association and the league, so thankfully, football is back. Why don't we get it all started with our DirecTV headlines, and we begin with the team that finished on top, the defending Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers. On Thursday night, Aaron Rodgers picked up right where he left off in the postseason with 3 touchdown passes. Green Bay's offense looked unstoppable, and the Pack held on to beat the Saints. Meanwhile, the team that the Packers beat in the Super Bowl, Terry Steelers, they'll kick off the season today against their arch rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. Over in the NFC, meanwhile, as I mentioned, the so-called Dream Team, the Philadelphia Eagles, they take on the up-and-coming Rams today. Then later, the Giants and Redskins have an appropriate matchup on this day of remembrance, while a former Redskin, Donovan McNabb, makes his debut for the Vikings. And the #1 pick in the draft, Cam Newton, begins his career with the Carolina Panthers. But, of course, the biggest headline of the week, no question, the injury to Peyton Manning. The face of the Colts franchise and the NFL for so many years will be out at least 2 to 3 months after undergoing a 3rd neck surgery. There are even whispers that Peyton's career could be in jeopardy. Jay Glazer will have some key information on that in just a moment. But, Howie, I know you had neck surgery because of your NFL career. Can you imagine at all what Peyton Manning's going through right now?
You know, it's the thing that I think most players that are playing the game today don't want to think about, really don't want to talk about, but when the lights go out at night, it's the thing when they're staring at the ceiling they worry the most about. It's neck injuries. He's had 3 procedures in the last 18 months. The first 2 were geared specifically towards avoiding the surgery he just had, which was a fusion. I can tell you this. If I hit you with a hammer enough times, inevitably you're going to flinch. The question is not only where Peyton is physically after the rehabilitation, but where he is mentally. Because when you start to flinch, it's time to go.
Yeah, he has to be brutally honest with this organization because this will change that organization forever. They'll have to flip it totally upside down, and he will be. This is a man of integrity, Peyton Manning. But this will be his call. This is his decision. He will tell them whether or not he can play. And if he can't play, he'll have to tell them the truth, and he will. I got to tell you, when I hurt my elbow and had to have Tommy John surgery or build the muscles up around it, I should have had the surgery. I thought I could fool everybody and come back. I knew I could not play. Had I been truthful with the Steelers, you know what? They would have drafted Dan Marino. Wow. Can you imagine Marino in Pittsburgh right after me? Pretty amazing.
All those down years may not have happened. You know, while everybody's counting the Colts out because Peyton Manning is gone, on the flip side, a lot of people are jumping on that Philadelphia bandwagon, Jimmy, because with the offseason addition, they've got 9 Pro Bowlers on that roster. 9 Pro Bowlers. Does that make them the favorite?
Kurt, let's not get carried away with 9 Pro Bowlers. A year ago, the Cowboys went into the season with 10 Pro Bowlers. What did that get them? Well, 6 wins, and it fired their head coach. Now, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now. You know, offensive line, 3 new starters, really shaky, a very young group of linebackers. And then, you know, on top of that, they've got an offensive line coach now calling the defense. He's never called defense in the NFL. Having said all that, I like their moves, and I like Andy Reid.
Yeah. I like the moves. I like Andy Reid, but they are not the team to beat. We saw the team to beat the other night, the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are the most mentally tough team in the league, winning all the games last year with everybody out. There's only one guy the Packers believe they cannot win with, and that's Aaron Rodgers. If he is there, the Packers are the team to beat.
We might have seen the 2 teams to beat the other night.
History will prove out. You cannot go out and put a bunch of stars together and win a championship.
It hasn't happened just yet. But let's get back to that Peyton Manning story for a bit. And for more on that, we bring back the #1 NFL insider in America, our own Jay Glazer.
Curtis!
How you doing, brother?
How are you, buddy?
Hey, you know what? Everyone knows Manning had a third neck surgery this week. But what people do not know are the details of that surgery and if he can actually play this year. Fill us in.
Well, because Peyton Manning is going to try and play this year, he actually opted for a very rare surgery, something that was done in the past. They don't do much anymore because the recovery is so incredibly painful. But it's faster than the conventional procedure. Now, here's what he did. They actually went in here in Marina Del Rey. Doctors went and they cut into a piece of his bone in his hip. They took that bone, put it up there, and that recovery is about 6 to 8 weeks. Most doctors and the doctors I talked to and team surgeons said, we don't do that anymore because the recovery is so painful. Plus, 20% of the people who have it, they have hip pain for the rest of their lives. But it speeds up his recovery process. Peyton's clearly trying to get out there this year.
Yeah, but knowing the details of this, then, do you think he actually returns at all this year?
I tell you what, if he had the conventional way, which is you take a cadaver disc and put it up there, the team surgeons I talked to said 6 months, you don't have him do anything. The procedure he had, guys I talked to said they'd let him throw it about 6 to 8 weeks, but they said we would never let him take a hit earlier than 4 months. Never will we clear him to take a hit. We'll see what the Colts decide. Wow,
that does not sound good. You actually talked to any other players who have had similar surgeries, at least?
Actually, 2 players I talked to had similar surgeries. One of them said he wasn't allowed to lift or run for 6 months. They wouldn't even x-ray him for 6 months. He said, I made a full recovery. But every time I was out there after that, there was never a time where it wasn't in the back of my mind, oh, my gosh, could that be the hit? Oh, could that have ended my career? It just stuck with him. And another guy I talked to said it ended his career.
Wow. I know later on in the show you'll have more on Randy Moss as well, speaking of big names, and a wild 12 hours for Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
Always on top of it. That's why we love you, brother.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Hey, you know what? For those of you who are trying to figure out what to do after football is over today, all you got to do is go to your local video store and just pick this up. It's the favorite action film of the year for everyone I know up here. X-Men First Class. You can witness the beginning and own it today on Blu-ray or DVD. But that's after football is done because we are just getting started. Here's what else is on tap.
The boys are back as the NFL on Fox Tradition kicks back into gear. This year, we're bringing the matchups, the hits, the info, and a whole lot more of what you've been missing. Double Coverage, our new debate segment, allows the boys to square off on the latest NFL topics. Mike Pereira stops by to explain why his return may be one of few this season. 10 years later, we'll take a moment to remember how the return of football was instrumental in healing millions after 9/11. Jay Glazer isn't even near finished dishing out insider info. Some call him the man of 100 faces. We just call him Frank. And he'll kick off a season of comedy genius. Plenty more tradition, hits, and laughs coming at you on Week 1 of Fox NFL Sunday.
Okay, this is it, the Built Ford Tough Sales event. And in this corner, America's most fuel-efficient pickups. Featuring Super Duty with best-in-class payload, towing, and MPGs. Make way for the undisputed 34-year heavyweight champ, Ford F-Series, delivering a knockout combination the contenders can't match. And now, get 0% financing for 60 months, plus another grand toward your trade-in, on top of what it's worth.
We didn't just add guacamole, Swiss, and bacon to a burger. We added it to a Whopper. The California Whopper and California Whopper Jr. sandwiches. Enjoy one now, only at Burger King.
You and I got a lot in common.
Really? You're tied to a chair, and I'm here with a gun in my hand.
Hello?
I knew I'd find it.
He's like a father to you, right?
If you don't do this, it's a dead man.
Danny's gonna come back for me. And when he does, he's your worst nightmare.
Now the gloves are off. All right, let's finish this.
What are you doing? Let me get my watch back.
Killer Elite, rated R, starts September 23rd.
Are we doing okay here?
Absolutely.
And what can I get for you?
I'll have one of those.
The one and only Ford Fox NFL Sunday pregame show is sponsored by the 2012 Ford F-150, the only truck available with the efficiency and power of an EcoBoost engine. By State Farm, for auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach.
All right, time now for State Farm to cover the field. State Farm, get to a better state.
Get to a better state, sponsored by State Farm.
Well, last year, Mike Pereira put us all in a better state, left the NFL as the director of officiating, came over to Fox, and you hit on 97% of the plays that were under review last year. 97?
Well, I talked to Terry before I made the decision every time. I got all the accurate information from him.
Or maybe that was where the 3% was wrong.
Did Terry compile those numbers?
Sent them to me yesterday.
Well, congratulations on a great rookie year. Let's move forward to this season and talk about some of the rules changes. The first one being reviewing every scoring play in each game.
I think it's going to turn out to be a non-issue. They've done a good job in the preseason of confirming the call quickly. It may add a couple seconds of game time, but I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Well, the one that everyone's talked about in the preseason, of course, is moving the kickoff from the 30-yard line up to the 35. Obviously, we've seen many more touchbacks already.
And you're gonna, but it's strictly injury-related. I mean, the facts are, the stats that have been quoted, 11 injuries per 100 kickoff versus 7 injuries per 100 scrimmage plays. So they just did it to try to make a safer environment on kickoffs.
Mike, twice as many touchbacks in preseason. Too many non-action plays. I hate the rule. You know, and there's still going to be returns because what happens is the coverage unit, they're accustomed to the ball going into the end zone. They relax, and all of a sudden it comes out of the end zone, touchdown.
We saw the Cobb return the other night. Yeah. The return that wasn't supposed to be a return, that was a return, ended up being okay. I think later on in the year when the weather's bad, outdoors you're going to see more returns.
Define injury, though. We're talking torn up knees.
But you're thinking like the Rutgers kid, for example. You know, it's those type of paralysis type injuries that they're trying. Absolutely.
But that's probably, but what I don't like, that's momentum changing play for a lot of teams. You lose that. And for me, I'm a fan. It's boring. I love a kickoff.
Well,
I love that.
Let me ask you this then. Is there any talk about eliminating the kickoff entirely?
I don't cover them, Howie.
Absolutely not. They're not. They'll look at it after the season's over, make a couple tweaks, especially if the amount of returns gets under 60%, then they'll look at it. But otherwise, they're not going to eliminate the kickoff.